Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
Literally a guest star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin's the lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to PSGL F5. We are here for round number 11, the penultimate round of the season. My name is Jake, of course, taking you guys through this. Joined alongside me, as always, is Mr. Randall was taken, aka Oshin. How are you doing this evening?
I am nice and dry, unlike the guys tonight. Some nice rain here in China. But yeah, crunch time in the championship. Match point for Caillou. He has a chance to wrap this up tonight. He'll need a lot of things go his way, but at the moment, a top 2 finish, and he'll have a chance to seal the title. We'll worry about the other criteria when it comes down. But if he wins it anyway, his only challenger would be Hazara. You still have the likes of Roddy, Rara, and Damien still in it, but Rara missing tonight. I think that confirms Rara out of the championship, unfortunately. So it's a 4-way fight now.
Yeah, it certainly is a 4-way fight in the championship, and as you say, it is not a very sunny China for today. A lot of the drivers in here not particularly happy that it is China, so I think we're going to see some interesting results for this evening, because I think other drivers are also quite happy that it's China. It's kind of like Marmite, a very mixed bag of people happy and people that are annoyed that it is this track for this evening. But I suppose that's what the admins came up with, and that's what we're racing for this evening. And in case you guys did also miss it, next week for the final race is, of course, as tradition of Abu Dhabi. So you don't want to be missing out on that one, because, as we say, there is definitely a title fight that is going to be going down at Abu Dhabi. Unless Caillou decides he actually wants to win a race this season, then we may end up having the championship actually decided over in China for a change. So, yeah, as I say, we'll go on to the actual screen as to what we're looking at the moment. And, yeah, as you can see, 12 drivers this evening in multiplayer cars as well. For some reason, the latest update did decide to absolutely bug out the normal F1 world cars, or the actual F1 cars, shall I say, and meaning that we're going to have to drive with F1 wild cars until this patch comes out that actually puts them back to an equal performance car. But I think the drivers have tried their best to get it as close to an equal bet as possible. They'll still get their normal constructors points, so they won't be affected with that because of the whole game. But I think to start off with, we've got our resident Andero, who always loves to get the first lap in. He's deciding to go around on China. I don't know if you want to go take us through it, Oshin.
Well, the traditional Williams driver, he looks to be sporting, I'd call that a bit of a Lewis Hamilton 3P livery in my opinion, with the colour scheme. But yeah, going through a wet Chinese track, it's not popular in the dry. I don't know how people feel about it in the wet, but they'll just have to make do as Andrea goes through this tricky middle section of this Chinese circuit. Has to do a major lift off this long left hand. He's got a car up ahead that gets well out of his way. Fortunately, a lot of long corners in this Chinese Grand Prix track. So he's going to run up to the hill now. Not the hill, well, it is a bit of a hill anyways. He finishes second sector. Comes up now to this really awkward free turn section. Just consistently holding the wheel to a right angle. But it's never the right angle you'd find when you do it. But now it comes out to this nearly 2 kilometers straight. I think it's actually exactly 2 kilometers straight. No DRS this time though. You're just looking at that brake mark up ahead. They're quite big, so it's hard to miss them anyway. He's drifting through the hairpin there. He's just got one more corner left. He's didn't validate off this corner though, so it's not, this lap is not over yet, but he is very cautious with it. I'll set us off with a 39.7. Good start for him anyway.
Yeah, very good start for him. And then Max Rowe instantly beats out on that one, chucks it up on top so far. And a lot of drivers just coming around to finish their first set of laps. Few have invalidated, whether that's out of the final corner and getting a this and next lap, and some maybe throughout the lap because they're not used to the rain in this one. So, yeah, Carl Scarrett and WR Fraser both putting in lap times as well for P3 and P4. Still relatively close with Max Rowe. Again, it's just them guys. It's just all the guys trying to get used to the wet weather conditions. As I believe Griglick going to be our next one to come across the line. Yeah. Just coming out of the final corner now, and up towards the line he comes, and it's going to be a 39.8 for Griglick, who's actually only recently, as we've been saying for the past few weeks, chucking his hat into the ring for championship contention. I think he probably would have been a bit closer if the PS servers didn't decide to go down last week. I think he would definitely thrown his hat in the ring with that.
Yeah, tonight though he has to beat Caillou to stand a chance. I'll do the full breakdown. I believe though Rara is out of this championship hunt, unfortunately due to him not being here tonight. But we'll get the full breakdown anyway. As Rara actually technically is still in the championship hunt. He just needs Caillou to not score a single point, and then he'll need to get a pole and win in Abu Dhabi. So mathematically he's still in it, but realistically he is out of the championship. But Caillou leads us with 67, Hazara has 62, Rara's on 50, Grillick is on 49, and Damien 48. So Grillick and Damien need to outscore Caillou to still be in the championship fight. Caillou needs to do something he hasn't done this season, and that's finish in the top 2 to have a chance to win it here tonight. He'll need to, if he's to win this race, he'll need Hazara to finish. He needs to have a gap of 18 points, so he'll need Hazara to finish outside the top 7 to win the championship. And if he finishes second with fastest lap, he needs Hazara to fail to score to win the championship and for Damon and Graylick not to win. So it is possible for Caillou to wrap up the championship here, but since he's tends to get P3s and hasn't got, well, as we say that, he's put himself pole provisionally, but could this be the night where Caillou breaks the P3 curse and will finally get a top 2, if not a win? Of course, I think he's probably not thinking of the championship at the moment. His main focus is to go into the final with the lead, be ahead of Hazara.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be quite close in terms of, especially with what we know that Hazara can be capable of in pace as well. So I think it's not it's not very easy, and as you say, especially considering that Kailu, who's leading the championship, hasn't even finished in the top 2. He's had 4 third places out of the 9 rounds that we have raced. Obviously, the 10th round being Mexico, ended up getting cancelled due to PlayStation server issues. But yeah, out of the 9 rounds that we've raced, he's finished 3rd in 4 of them, which just means he's a bit more consistent than everybody else, and that he's managed to score points at every race that we've raced at so far. So he's very consistent with it, as Hazara's chucked it into P3. Maxro's improved his time ever so slightly as well. But yeah, I mean, Hazara really needs to try and finish ahead of Kailu. Kailu, as I say, he needs to win and hope that Hazara doesn't score any points this evening to wrap up that championship. If, as you say, Griglick or Damien do finish ahead of him, then he is completely out of it. Rara, I think he's already 17 points behind. Kailu's just got to score 1 point, and then he's out of that running already. So yeah, Rara, I think is unless Kailu DNS, then I think he's out of the running for the championship completely. But Hazara can take the championship lead. Again, anything can happen in this race around China. And if Hazara and Kailu, if Hazara and Kailu are lining up first and third at the moment, again, that can cause some sparks going down maybe towards the latter stages of the race, where Hazara can maybe try and come back at Kailu. Or Kailu is doing what he's been doing best so far this season, just keeping it nice and consistent and keeping himself up towards the top end of the field. In terms of qualifying so far though, everybody has pretty much done their first set of laps, other than Franquise, just sort of sitting in the pits at the moment. Kailu sitting out on top, Maxro in second, and Hazara in third. Of course, it's always been a lot of the time the Alpines of Maxro and Rara chucking it up onto the top step of the qualifying positions, but so I think over the last couple of rounds they've really started to die off a bit more in terms of qualifying, and we've started to see other drivers start taking them pole positions. So again, I think it's I think the Alpines have started to be caught up in terms of that, but just in the race they can't seem to hold it. So hopefully this time, if Maxwell isn't the one that chucks it up on pole, might fancy his chance of a race win this evening.
It's going to be interesting. Of course, we can't say the Alpine curse anyway with that, but of course in the last race we actually did have, the pole curse was broken. Franquish converted pole. The only time the season pole was converted, and he's only the only times though that pole has led to a podium were both of Franquish's poles. His pole in Qatar, he came third, and his pole last time out in Jeddah saw him converted to a win. So maybe it might just be Frankish's race pace that might be it, but we could see it happen tonight. Caillou though looking comfortable at front, 2 temps to his name. Of course, in these wet conditions you don't know what direction the track's going to go. Is it going to get better or is it going to get worse? You never really know that, especially in the comms box, because we're giving no information on the weather. Ooh. But as I say that, we've been given some very interesting information. DRS is enabled. I mean, this track is still looking like a lake. I'd still rather myself on a canoe than an F1 car in this race, but apparently DRS is enabled. We are looking good for softs, as a few drivers have touched on the softs in the pits, so that might explain why Frank Keith has to come out. Yeah, he knew it was going to get dry. So as Zara goes quickest now, so the top 2 in the championship are no, Gridlick says don't finish that sentence. Yeah, I'm going to toss in provisional pole, but that's not going to be the pole time at all. Definitely, because it's definitely going to dry up here, as Roddy is going to be the first one to try out the softs in the American livery, the Logan Sargent tribute livery.
Yeah, so the NLR driver driving for Mercedes, and also we forgot to mention the constructors battle as well. There's only 2 points in it between the McLarens and the Mercedes. So Carl Scarrett and Kylie obviously need to try and do something this evening to try and secure it. But Ruddy and Griglick, I mean, they've been chasing them at tooth and nail with the McLarens, so they've also got a good chance of taking the constructors. We'll see. We'll see how it goes for this evening. But yeah, Ruddy going to be the first one to complete a lap on a dry set of tyres. And like you're saying as well, Asheen, is that it's definitely not going to be the fastest time we're going to see tonight at that 38.9. I reckon the person that probably gets the last lap done will be the one that takes the pole this evening. And it's just about trying to time it right, and especially around China, where it's quite a long lap time anyway, about 1:30 in the dry. When it's coming to drying conditions, I mean, that's just going to extend that out by at least an extra couple of seconds. People trying to still warm up their tyres where it's still the track's a little bit wet. It's just going to be a lot harder for these guys to try and warm up their tyres. So, yeah, I think we'll see how the first set of laps go on these sets of softs. I'm sure these guys will try and get 2 laps done on the set of softs, or 2 sets of softs, shall I say. As Ruddy just running around turn number 2 right now, gone around the long turn 1 through turn 2, now turn 3. Little King has a little bit of a wobble coming out of there, but still keeps it out on track through turn number 4 now. Of course, a second up on his time. It is obviously starting to dry up a lot more. Has a bit of a slide going through turn number 5, and now powering it down as much as possible through the long left-hander that can be an absolute tyre killer on the front right, to then being an absolute tyre killer on the front left. Going through the long right-hander. Then it's the double lefts now coming up, and again, quite easy to get a bit too trigger happy on the power, and very easy to absolutely chuck it out on the exit of there. But coming out to the end of the second sector, 2.6 seconds up on his time. So I think a lot of these guys are waiting until the last moment to go out. Ruddy though may just about have enough time to get in and get another set of softs on to then get try and go for that pole position. But DRS now wide open for his softs lap, coming down what was the longest straight in Formula 1 calendar before Baku, and now Las Vegas as well being on the calendar. But now around the penultimate corner and up towards the final corner comes Ruddy. Is he going to just make his way straight into the pits? Is he going to round it? He does round the final corner, so this might be his final opportunity, and up to the line comes Ruddy. It's a 35.1. That's the benchmark that has been set for the rest of the guys. Maxro still out on a set of the Inters, by the way, still doing the 39.0, but you've got to assume he's going to be pitting this lap.
Yeah, he's definitely pitting anyway. I mean, his fuel's about to run out, but I think that's a bad call by Ruddy personally, because he's not going to have time to get back in the pits, get out, complete an out lap, and start a lap. So I think this has been a mistake by Ruddy. Unless by some miracle it starts raining again, I think Ruddy will be starting towards the back, unfortunately. I mean, then again, there could be just everyone invalidates at laps and Ruddy's just a genius. But we'll figure that out in 3 minutes time.
I think I kind of see what Ruddy's actually doing. I think he's gone for another lap. I think that's what he's actually doing, because it said he was purple in the first sector. He's run out of ERS. Yeah, he's a second up on his time, so he's gone for yet another lap on these softs. He hasn't really got enough fuel left, so this is definitely his last run. He's going to lose an insane amount of time down the straight due to the lack of ERS, but with the amount of they've been making up in the corners, he will still at least improve on his lap time. But it's of course still not going to be enough. Everybody is now going to start making their way out of the pits. As I say, they want to be the last one across the line, but they don't want to leave it too late to the point where they then just about miss getting their lap time in, especially Frankie's, who's still not put in a lap time whatsoever. But Rowdy round the final corner now to complete yet another lap on here. So 34.3, only 0.8 of a second improvement. That is probably not very acceptable for him, and he is more than likely, as you say, is going to be starting towards the back end of the field.
Yeah, Frankish though, he's the last to go out, start that, but he's going to be the first of the last runs on slicks. Ruddy being well out sequenced here, going to cause a bit of confusion. He's run out of fuel, so you got to hope that he doesn't end up being in the way of someone, because he's got to do this entire lap on low fuel mode, and you may as well walk it at that rate, because on low fuel mode you are going nowhere. But yeah, is there going to be some backing up here potentially? I think Frankie's just going to get on with it, but behind him there looks to be a bit of slowing down here before the straight. Of course, it's going to be off the hairpin where you're going to want to put your foot down. It's going to be interesting to see would they be backing up. So of course, there is a slipstream effect you'll have at this stage of the track where you don't be getting dirty air in the first and second sector, so you kind of want to give yourself some breathing space at the start. You don't want to be looking for the slipstream. You want the space, otherwise it's going to compromise you for the first and second sectors where you'll lose out. But we're going to start off with Frank Keach anyway. He's got a lovely clean track in front of him, so he won't have any issues. I can't really see the timer because there's a yellow flag being waved out for some reason, but here we go with Frankish, the traditional Ferrari driver, the man who got pole and the win in the last race, almost spins it off the first couple corners there. I don't know how many corners he count there off that awkward first spot, but he survived for now. But that's going to hurt him a bit going through this section. 24-0 in the first sector. We have nothing to compare him off previously. A bit deep there, unfortunately. As he's going now for this long left-hander. He's put the foot fully down there. Big lift off the second one, but takes him way cleaner now. As Roddy, oh yeah, in the pits. That's not bad for getting excited over that. But Frankish now, it's gonna set a 51-3 for the second sector. A bit of curve there, sends him a bit deep, but he recovers it well. Now this awkward right-hander. He's wanting to get on the power really early. He's got it nicely though, and you're gonna have DRS on this straight this time to aid him to finish the lap here. He's just going to be looking at his braking point. He knows exactly where he's going to be hitting that brake. It's a right the 100-meter board. How is going to hit the apex? Bit of the curb there, but takes it nicely. Really nice hairpin there for Frankish. He's going to come to the line. It's going to be the fastest time of the session for now. I'm assuming he's going to comfortably get himself ahead of Roddy, and he does by 3 seconds. Here comes Grilic though, one of the championship contenders right behind him. And he's almost a second ahead. You just expect that time to go down and down. And Rero just behind him. Caillou only gets himself up to third. Maxwell's coming now. Carl Scarrett's fifth. Maxwell almost loose off the final corner. That might cost him pole here. Yeah, that's cost him majorly. Hazara is going to be next championship contender. Where's he going to put it? Puts it pole where he needs to put it. Hazara. In the night where Caillou can take the championship, Hazara has made sure that is looking more and more unlikely in qualifying. It's two of the championship contenders on the front row. Hazara from Grilic and Darrell completes the top three. The championship leader, Caillou's in fourth. Coolman's in fifth. Damien in sixth. In the evening where he needs to beat Caillou to stay in the championship. Fraser seventh. Larpa eighth. Frankish 9th, Maxwell 10th, Carl Scarrett 11th, and Roddy, he went off sequence, and it's put him as a significant outlier, 3 seconds off the rest of the field. So his strategy was not the right way to go, but championship wise, all 4 contenders are in the top 6, which is what you want to see.
Yeah, it certainly is. So, whilst we are just waiting to load into the race, I'll back with you in a very short moment, just so you can watch the GT Omega advert. So, we'll be back with you very, very shortly. Right, so, of course, Hazara on pole gives him an advantage early on. But is he going to be able to convert that into a win and chuck himself to the top of the championship? What could turn from a 5-way battle for the championship could then actually end up being only a 2-horse race in the final race at Abu Dhabi next week. Let us know in the chat who you think is going to win, because we have now got the 3, 4, 5 red lights for the penultimate round. They go out early, the lights are out, and away they go. And it's Hazara that gets a very good start. Griglick, not exactly the best of starts, because Andera is now alongside him up in towards turn number 1, going around the outside of the curve. Coolman up into 4th as well, jumping up ahead of the championship leader. Can get a little bit scrappy going through turns number 2 and turn number 3. Andera holding it down the inside in towards turn 2. Coolman now getting the inside on Caillou and gets that move done. Caillou now down at the 5th and being pressured by Damien as well for P6. As well as that though, Fraser is also trying to look down the inside of Damien. Kailu absolutely sends it down the inside of Coolman. Gets that move once again back into P4. Fraser as well trying to still go alongside Damien and Coolman now for P5. I don't think Fraser's going to be able to do anything, although Coolman makes a bit of a mistake. Fraser had to then sort of back out of that one, and now Frankis is also looking to see if he can go down the inside of Damien. Not going to be able to get that move done. Hazara though already trying to get as far away from the field as possible and get himself into that championship lead. As far as things go, if it does finish the way that it is, I know it's only lap number 1, but if it does finish the way that it is, Hazara will take this championship lead, and Kailu, he'll have his job to do next week at Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, Caillou, I don't even think he intended to send that move on Coleman. I think he was focused on the fade from Damon. He definitely had a bit of a locking moment there, but he's very lucky not to have made contact there, but he survived. He's in 4th. But he's made contact with the drill. There's that damage potentially. He tapped the rear. He might have got away with it there, but there was a bit of contact there. But look, his front wing looks well. He hit it in the sweet spot to survive, but bitten a couple nervy moments in the first lap for Caillou. A couple nervy moments of Damien. He was very swarmed at that start. He's dropped a couple places down to 7th. Not the position he wants to be. He needs to gain 3 positions to stay in the fight. It's not looking likely at the moment, but still 27 laps to go. A lot could happen here in China. It's a very awkward track, especially if you start fighting. The overtaking opportunities here are very tight, awkward corners. Very easy for crashes and spins to happen here, so a long way to go. And with a 2K long straight, you're going to expect some people to do some sense in that hairpin. Pretend that Daniel Ricciardo from 2018.
Yeah, he's definitely got to have to do some sort of sense, and I think that's probably why Frankis is the only one on the set of the mediums, so he can try and go for those Daniel Ricciardo West sends on the inside throughout this circuit. Because I mean, yeah, it's like he's the only one that has opted to go on a set of the mediums, and in fairness, considering how low down he is starting in comparison to what he did in Jeddah, I think it's not necessarily a bad call. You know, he wants to try and go for some sort of move. He wants to try and move his way up the field as much as possible, especially if you're stuck in a massive DRS train with all 12 cars being in said DRS train. So, yeah, Frankis, I don't necessarily think he's in a bad position for that. Max Roche trying to dive it down the inside of Roddy in towards the hairpin, gets that move done and gets up into P9. Beautifully done, but Roddy's still trying to fight that one in towards the final corner, both side by side. Correct, a bit of contact, and that's Max Rowe round. Roddy, I think, got a little bit too eager. Did not want to give up that position. Yeah, he hit that inside curb, understeered straight into the side of Maxro. And Maxro has actually retired from the session. So that's now him out of the session. And I think that's Alpine out of the Constructors fight as well. And, well, I don't think he was anywhere near fighting for the championship anyway. So, yeah, very unfortunate. And he's actually left the session. So, yeah, not nice to see, especially considering that he was the host of the session.
Summed up his season. How many incidents has he had this season? And that's what I mentioned earlier. Any overtaking spot here, the overtake was on for Roddy, but with how awkward this track is, he clipped the curb and that just sent him straight into Maxo. And I don't think that's going to be the first time we see someone get spun here. Just the nature of this track, it looks to catch you out, especially in those overtaking spots with those high curves or just dive bomb encouraging spots. That's not going to be the first incident we have tonight. That's not going to be the last incident. That is the first incident we had tonight. But DRS now for the first time on this massive straight. Grilic slowly gaining here, but he's going to buy this time here to get the move on Hazara. He's in the position he needs to be anyway, ahead of Caillou. But I say he wants that win anyway. Hazara though, yeah, he will be leading the championship right now. It's going to be interesting. If he stays P1, as long as Caillou is in second, he'll be leading the championship. I'm pretty sure, as top two are looking to gap Andrero, as Caillou's looking to put himself in the podium right now. A suggestional P3 spot on Andrero. He's going to try and get the mistake off Andrero, force him to go wide for this awkward first couple set of corners, but Andrero parks it on the apex very well here. Caillou has a bit of a rear step out there, but he's recovered it well. Andreo's just doing enough to stay in the DRS, which is keeping him in this P3. Caillou, another lock up there. He's not fancying the brakes here tonight, here in China, but going to be interesting now as all top 8 are within DRS of each other. Frankish is not getting as well of a use of the mediums as he probably was hoping for at the start, just with how backed up the field is here this early stages. But we're coming back to the long DRS zone very soon, so will we see someone get advantageous on the brakes and go for a Daniel Ricciardo-esque dive bomb?
I think we might. I think Griglet might be eyeing up a move on Hazara for this race lead, and you can see he's a lot closer than what he was on that last lap. Has got quite a significant amount of ERS, so stick on board with Griglet. Of course, Mercedes trying to fight it in this Constructors' Championship. He's going to look for it. He's going to go down the inside, get that DRS pass for the race lead. Hazara's not giving it up though. He's trying to hold it around the outside of the hairpin. Probably not the best idea because it invites Andero to then try and go for a move on Hazara as well. But he backs out of that one, thinks better of it, and maintains P2. Hazara though is going to get that DRS once again back on Griglet, so he might try and go for the move down towards turn number 1. You can see how much he's gaining on it as well, and I think he's just going to sit behind him for the time being. Play the smart game and play the longer game. As we were saying, as long as he is finishing ahead of Kailu, then there is a chance that he will be taking this championship lead for this evening. I mean, I think second place gets what, 12 points, and fourth place gets 8 points if I'm not mistaken, so only 1 point in it. With these two sitting in second and fourth, it will still be Kailu in the lead, but again, it just narrows that gap down a significant amount more in comparison to if he was sitting in first. It means Cesaro would then go into that championship lead and probably leading it by about 4 or 5 points. 3 or 4 points going into the final race of the season. Damien as well, just a bit of an update from him. Still sitting in P7 at the moment. Probably wishing that he was a little bit further up in the train to try and fight Kailu so that he can maintain himself in this championship fight. Again, unfortunately for him, he's just been very unfortunate throughout the season, but that's just racing at the end of the day. There's not much that he could have done about the incidents that he's had throughout this. Feel like he should be within this championship fight a lot closer than what he's sitting at the moment. But in P7, you know, he wants to maybe try and go for a move on Fraser at some point so that he can try and go for a challenge on the rest of those guys. As Hazara, as I say, just playing the DRS game, playing the long game, doesn't want Andara to pass him. If he feels Andara is going to be a threat, then he'll try and go for the attack on Griglik.
Yes, we're going back to the trend we saw at the start of the season where you didn't want to make the move to the lead, but that might be changed right now. Hazara's going to try and get it done in the second part. I think he was predicting that if he got the move done, the hairpin, that Grilic would have done this move to him, so he wanted to get it done later in the lap. Roddy's got a speeding penalty. Roddy's done. He probably picked up damage with his contact with Maxro, so that means right now everyone finishing will score right now, which is beneficial to the championship contenders. Oh, geez, Grillett very deep on the brakes there. But yeah, everyone's really close here. Fraser slightly dropping back from the top 5, which is going to just infuriate Damien more, because that will force him to get the move on Fraser done quicker, and he'll need to be a bit more risky with it. But no one's really in a position to go for the moves apart from whoever's in second, because everyone's just got DRS and similar enough straight line speed. So we're just going to have to wait till the pit sequence happens. This could benefit Frankish though, because he'll just get a massive undercut when he pits before the rest.
Yeah, and I feel like that might sort of start a chain reaction, because if I'm not mistaken, obviously it is a medium to hard strategy around here. I think sometimes you can even maybe get away with doing a hard to soft strategy. So I think Kailu might actually be trying to go for the overtake for P3 on Andero. Ruddy has left the session, but down the inside he goes. Griglik also trying to follow suit in towards the lead of the race. Andero breaks it late into the hairpin, still side by side of each other through that hairpin as well. Andero gets a better traction on the exit though and keeps that P3. Griglik in towards the lead of the race as well. Hazara might also just be trying to go back into the lead of this race, and let's have a look and see on board with him. DRS wide open, he looks on the inside. He just wants to keep cover of that inside, doesn't go for the move on Griglik, sticks in second position, so it does end up that as Kailu trying to go down the inside now into turn 1. Little bit of contact with the nature of that corner. It's very easy to make contact with these two, but yeah, I think Andara manages to hold on. I was saying that Kailu got a very good run out of turn number 2, now through and turn 3, the king through turn 4. On the outside is our championship leader. He breaks a lot later than Andero, tries to swoop it around the outside. Andaro's giving him the room on the outside. Is he going to get a better traction? He certainly does. Kailu, what a move that is for your championship leader, up into P3 now and gets that move. Andero, unfortunately for him, he used a lot of his ERS in that fight as well, so he's now a little bit of a disadvantage in comparison to everybody else. Saying that Kailu is as well. But yeah, championship leader now into 3rd position. Not what Hazara wants to be seeing, because now he wants to go for that move on Griglik and try and stay up ahead of these two. Try and stay up ahead of these two, because all 3 of these are battling for this championship.
Yeah, well, now we have the championship 3 as it's more and more looking like right now in the top 3 as Damon's chances are fading more and more. But now, does the DRS game happen? Does Griglik and Hazard decide to work together to keep Caillou behind, keep him in the 3rd? Hazard will close the gap and Griglik will still be in the championship. So for their own sake, their best bet is to stay in this position, work together, keep Caillou behind. So best situation for both. Griglik was a bit wide there, then maybe a warning for him. We'll see later on, because penalties could be detrimental right now. Griglik Hazard has a half look on Griglik there, but thinks better of it.
Yeah, I think, just going to sit behind for the time being. So Griglik's still going to remain in the lead of this race so far. Hazara in 2nd, and the championship leader of Kailu in 3rd. Again, if it finishes the way that it does for this evening, Kailu will still maintain this championship lead and going into Abu Dhabi once again. And an update on the constructors as well, with Roddy retiring from the session. It's all up now to Griglik to try and get as many points for the Mercedes as possible. Kailu and Carl Scarrett, of course, sitting in 3rd and 9th respectively. Won't be outscoring Griglik, so it means that the Mercedes may end up actually taking the championship lead despite Roddy DNFing. If Griglik does take the win and it finishes the way that it is at the moment, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they only get 12 points in comparison to Griglik's 16, so I think at the end then Mercedes will actually be in the lead of the championship with just the 1 driver for this evening.
I think it's 12 for 3rd and 2 for 9th. No, yeah, 10 for 3rd, yeah. But Hazard's taking the lead of the race. So Hazard wants the championship lead. He's put himself back into the championship leader's position.
Quite interesting as well. Fraser has lost that to Franquise. So Franquise is now up to 7th position. Fraser, 5% of ERS battery left. Could mean that Carl Scarrett could start to catch up to those guys, because him and Lapa have just been sort of sitting outside of that DRS zone since the start of this race. They haven't been able to keep up with the rest of the guys out in front of them. And Franquise is starting to lose out in terms of DRS to those guys out in front of him as well, which suggests to me the mediums are starting to die off that little bit more, as Kailu very close to the back of Griglik, giving a little bit of a look on Griglik, and Griglik's just trying to see if he can scare him as much as possible. But yeah, I think for me, Franquise, his tyres are going to start to go off soon, so we might see a pit stop being made probably within the next, I want to say next 5 laps from the German, who is normally in a Ferrari, but just for this evening in a very nice green and black car. But yeah, we'll see if he does make a pit stop within the next 5 laps, go for a bit of an undercut on the rest of the guys. Of course, it will work for him, but when it comes towards the latter stages of the race, I think he's going to be absolutely swallowed up by everybody else who's going to go on a set of the medium tyres to go to the end of the race. I think Franquise, he didn't make those mediums work as much as he probably would have wanted to, and I think now, because he didn't make it work, it's probably going to sort of eat him up towards the end of the race. And you can see the ERS, he's got none left, or he's got 3% left, but he's losing out time in the DRS straight as Lapa and Carl Scarrett just changing positions there for P9 and P10 respectively. But yeah, Franquise, I think he's in a world of trouble if he doesn't make a pit stop within these next couple of laps.
Yeah, I think another thing we have to remember is, because we're using the F1 World cars, so the traditional cars, no one knows who their makeshift teammate is with regards to pitting. So could that play a factor? Could Caillou be Griglik or Hazara's teammate, and they pit together, and then Caillou gets held up? That's a factor. Yeah, that's probably playing in the back of the minds of the guys who are in this kind of DRS race. Like, could I be behind my teammate, and could we pit together, and then I am screwed, because that will cost you like 5 seconds essentially.
Yeah, there's always, of course, that possibility as well. So, at the moment, though, Hazara's still doing a nice job of just maintaining the lead of the race, and Griglick also just keeping that second position so far. As I say, he's absolutely thrown his hat into the ring for a championship fight since he became a full-time driver for the Mercedes. I think taking over Max Power, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, he's done a very good job of that, and yeah, I've been outstanding, as I say, throughout the rest of the season. Try obviously put a challenge as much as possible to Hazara, to Kylie, to Damien, to Rara, and of course has done that very successfully. Obviously taking a couple of race wins himself. Of course, Kylie is still yet to have a race win and sitting in his usual position of P3. Again, it would be 5 P3s he would have had this season if he finishes wherever he does at this present moment, and still to be leading that title as well going into Abu Dhabi. Although saying that, now Hazara's in the lead of the race, he will be the one in the lead of the championship going in towards Abu Dhabi. So yeah, Kainu, I think he's going to try and play something a bit strategical here. He's going to try and see if Griglick would go for something a little bit more audacious on Hazara, and if he does, then it might allow Kailu, it might just invite him to try and go up the inside, as you say, because it's quite a tight and twisty track, but also very open. So he might invite him to do a Daniel Ricciardo-esque kind of move in towards the latter stages of the race. As I say though, he brakes very late, almost going into the blink of Kailu, going through that little, blink of Griglick, sorry, going through that hairpin. And another update as well, Franquise 1.2 seconds now behind Damien, and Fraser also losing out DRS to Franquise. So I thought it might have been Franquise's tyres going off. I think it might just be that Franquise is just struggling with obviously no more ERS to his name, just struggling to maintain sticking into that train. But then it also means Fraser is also struggling because he's got no ERS left to himself either. So yeah, those guys definitely struggling without any ERS. It just makes it that much harder for them to stay within that DRS train with the rest of them.
Yeah, I think we're going to see Franquise in this lap probably. I would be surprised if he stays up for another lap, being out of the DRS range. That'll just drop him further and further back and ruin his undercut chances. So I think we'll be seeing our first pit of the night. Larprez, Koscar, we haven't even mentioned them, but they've been changing positions every lap here for P9. Great fight at the back of the grid as Franquise stays out. Interested by that because he's lost half a second in the last lap. So I'm very curious by that decision with Franquise to opt to stay out for another lap, but we'll see what he's planning anyway. Is he waiting for a safety car? Potentially. It's not a common track to get a safety car in China. You kind of need one in the first lap realistically to have any chance of safety cars. As Caillou's had a half look on Griglick there. Caillou looking to take Griglick out of the championship fight, making a 2-horse race in Abu Dhabi. He's filling that wing mirror up. He's putting the pressure on Griglick. Griglick's lost a bit of time to Hazara. Is he going to think of risking the dive bomb here on Griglick and end his championship hopes this evening? He's recovered well, Griglick anyway. He's pulled a bit away from Caillou in those last couple corners, but Caillou's making his presence well known to Griglick, the P2 man as things stand. As Franquise has to come in this lap. He's lost almost a second through the first 2 sectors. He needs to come in now for any chance of his race. Right now, he's just going to put pressure on Griglick to get the move done.
Let's have a look. Is Griglick going to try and go for it? He's just going to sit behind him for the time being. Yeah, and I was about to say as well, Fraser has also gotten him back himself into DRS of Franquise as well. So yeah, definitely think Franquise needs to make a pit stop this lap. I'll be surprised if he doesn't. And yeah, straight into the pits he comes. So yeah, the German's going to make that first pit stop of the race for everybody, other than if you count Ruddy going in there to retire from the session. But yeah, Franquise making the first pit stop, obviously going on to the set of hards to go towards the end of the race. Now, it depends how he gets on in these next few laps, because you've got to think those guys on the hards are going to pit probably on lap 15, lap 16 to go on a set of mediums. And like you were saying as well, nobody knows who their teammate is, if there are any. Why is there yellow flags going on the straight?
Well, that's a glitch. Franquise he spawned on the grid for whatever reason. He's got no damage on the car, so he hasn't hit the wall, and also a glitch on the couple track, so I'm guessing there's some sort of glitch. Why wouldn't there be a glitch in this game? But there's no damage on Franquise anyway. But I think that might cost him time because he was standstill on the grid there for a couple seconds. Very, EA-like moment there. Anyway, hopefully that's the only time we see that type of glitch.
Ooh, yeah, hopefully that is. Hazara having an absolute mare coming through the looping section, though. Going out on that left side of the curb and getting a little bit beached on there. Griglick is down, probably going to go for the move for the race lead. Yeah, you can see he pulls out over to the right. Kailu as well. I think trying to use a bit of his ERS to maybe think about putting that pressure onto Hazara, but thinks better of it. Hazara has a little bit of a rear lock as well, going in towards the hairpin. Griglick is going to maintain the race lead, but now this is putting pressure on Hazara. The amount of rear locking he's been doing in these past couple of laps and just a few slides that he's had, it's going to put him under pressure. Damien, also getting a move done on Coolman as Coolman into the pits. The first hard runner, Fraser follows him as well. Yeah, these two making their way into the pits to chuck on a fresh set of the mediums. It's going to start an absolute trigger, and everybody is now probably going to come into the pits on the next lap. Question is, are any of them teammates, and are they going to double stack?
See right now, Coleman and Fraser were the box next to each other. Unfortunately, are they going to have the same glitch as Frankish? Nope. So I'm guessing that's just a Frankish thing to happen anyway. But Frankish has jumped. No, he hasn't jumped Fraser. So his position's maintained at the moment. He's gained time on Fraser actually. So yeah, I think we'll be seeing a few reactions coming in if anyone can see those times. See Frankish gain on Fraser by about a second, so I think we might be seeing a few reactions here anyway. But there is that looming risk of being behind your makeshift teammate in this unique scenario we have tonight, where everyone's in the F1 World Cars rather than the traditional cars. So you're running that risk unless you're the lead car of getting held up, double stacking. So maybe if this is going to be the time they pit, Hazard's probably going to send it. Definitely will Caillou try to send here. He's thought about it on Graylick, but again, Hazara goes really deep, locks up horribly. Graylick back into the lead. A horrible lock up there for Hazara as Graylick's gone into the pits. I think that's what I was alluding to earlier. He's the lead car, so he doesn't have the risk of being stuck behind his teammate. Hazara and Caillou continue for another lap. There's been time lost there, definitely anyway, as Graylick is in. As I think.
Oh, there's the double stack.
And Darrow has fallen foul. That has ruined his chances today. He's probably going to drop behind Frankish now.
Maybe even Fraser.
Yeah, he's dropped fully foul now. Has ruined Andrero's day. That is the risk now. You could see it happening because I was on board with Andrero and I could see only one set cruise out as Andrero is gone from bad to worse. He's spotted off turn one, so that has ruined his race. His chances of the podium and the win have gone up in smokes in the space of an entire sector. But right now, will we see reactions from Hazara, Caillou here to Gridlick? Frankish is gaining. Caillou struggling. He's had to make a couple corrections off the loop there. So I think this may be the lap we see them in. He's just in DRS of Hazara. Of course, there is the risk that Hazara and Caillou are teammates.
We'll see. We'll see if they are certainly teammates.
In this lap.
But what I was going to say was as well, Coolman, he's jumped up ahead of Griglick, and Griglick was leading this race. So Coolman is actually our net race leader at this present moment. Hazara comes in, but Caillou stays out. Damien also stays out, almost goes into the wall, going into the pits.
Almost pulled Hamilton.
Yeah, and Carl Scarrett has stayed out and Lapa into the pits. So yeah, I think a lot of guys trying to get a bit risky with it. I can see only two. I can see only two. I think Lapa might be teammates with with Hazara. I think. Oh no, actually no. There is three. Sorry, my apologies. So
yeah, I could just see Damien's in the background.
Oh.
But yeah, Kuhlman's got the jump on all of them. Kuhlman leads.
And not only that, Damien's gone on a set of the soft compound of tyres.
Oh, that's gotta be a mistake. That's surely a mistake. Those tyres are gonna die by lap 25. That's surely a mistake by Damien, which is going to cost him any chance of the championship right now. Fraser, he might send one on Frankish here. He's lost out of Frankish, but Coolman is the net leader right now. He's got a 1.5 second gap to Gridlick. Gridlick has got a 2.6 second gap behind Hazara. So Caillou, he if he's not careful, he's going to lose out big time here. He was being cautious of not getting held up in the pits, and he might drop behind Damien at this rate. It's going to be very tight. He's definitely losing out to Grillick and Hazara here by what it's looking like with the positions. Caillou is surely in on this lap. He's got the blue wrench. So there's a free wide happening at the loop. Hold on for a second here. Frankie's, Damien and Fraser having the scrap of their life. This one, Caillou needs to skip, otherwise his championship lead is going to be extinguished dramatically here.
I think it's
for another lap.
Yeah, I think he's done. I think he's losing this championship lead from the looks of things. Coolman has set the fastest lap to it, and Grizzly's setting the fastest lap. Hazara also keeping around this very similar. But I think Caillou is losing out to all of these guys, even to Frankie's. I think he has. Yeah, he's lost out to him.
Caillou is gone for the wrong choice. Oh, that could be the turning moment in the championship. He's going to need to get his Daniel Ricciardo inner animal outside of him right now. He needs to send some dive bombs here on the likes of Damien, Fraser and Frankish. He needs to get these moves done rapidly and then chase after Gridlick and Hazara. Coleman though looking comfortable right now. After all, Coleman who's had torrid locks in Silverstone. He was in this championship fight, then he had 3 DNFs in a row, which has taken him out of any championship contentions. He's looking for a redemption day here. His championship hopes are over, but a win would be a nice consolation prize. But Gridlick is now in the... No, he's just outside the DRS range. So it'll be another lap survived for Coolman. He's pulling away from Hazara. Actually, he does have DRS. That is a major performance. Kai's going to need to get the first of his moves done here on Frankish. He'll get it done easily. That's the first one done. 2 more to go until he gets to his championship contenders. 1 more realistically. Damien's found himself back in the championship fight now because he's ahead of Caillou now. So we're back to a 4-way fight for the championship, it looks like. Grillick sets the fastest lap though. Followed by Hazara, followed by Damien. The lads are rapid tonight.
Yeah, they're all really trying to push it as hard as possible. The problem, though, is for one certain driver, and that is Damien. I still don't think he meant to go on a set of the soft tyre.
Yeah, that was a mistake, surely.
And I think he's going to be the one that's most under pressure, especially because he's only 2.3 seconds ahead of Caillou. I say only, purely because those softs are going to be absolutely dead in the next couple of laps. I think they can only really last 3 or 4 laps before they end up properly dying. But yeah, Caillou now down the inside of Fraser. Fraser with no ERS really to play with. Caillou just uses that little bit extra just so we can cement that position up ahead of Fraser. Fraser now down into P7, Caillou up to P6. But yeah, like I was saying, Damien, I think the softs I can kind of understand if you're on lap 20. 8 laps to go, you know, I think the softs can get there and you should be fine, which I think that might be what Carl Scarrett is trying to do. But with about 12 laps to go, I think Damien really has made a dodgy choice with that as Griglick, trying to see if he can now go for the net race lead on Coolman. Coolman, no ERS for him to play with. Down the inside goes Griglick. He's got still half a tank of ERS to play with, and straight down the inside he goes into the hairpin. Coolman will get the DRS, of course, going down into towards turn number 1, but with the ERS that he's got, I think he's probably better off just chilling out behind and recharging that battery, so that he can then go on the attacking Griglick a little bit later on in the race if possible. But yeah, Coolman, he's done very well to get himself into a net second position. Just now he's got to try and play it right and hope that he can keep that arm's length to Hazara. Otherwise, yeah, he could be in a world of trouble come towards the end of the race. And especially considering that he's only 2 lap older tyres in comparison to Hazara, as weird as it sounds, it can actually make a massive difference, especially with a degradation kind of thing on this game, where Coolman's tyres will probably end up going off around lap 24, 25. Hazara's may not go up to lap 27, and that gap only being 1.8 seconds, that will decrease exponentially. So yeah, Hazara's going to try probably use that when the degradation comes into effect for Coolman. I think we might see Hazara just glide on back to the back of Coolman and try and go for a move to get that championship lead, because at the moment he won't be leading it. If he gets past Coolman, he certainly will be leading that championship.
Yeah, right now, I mean, like, Grillick is gonna have one more move to make to cement the lead. No red flags here, so we won't see a Pierre Gasly Monza-like situation where being out at the right time ends up getting you a win. Coscara is gonna just be a sitting duck here. He's just waiting for his designated lap before he comes in and tosses on the softs. He'll be well last, but he'll have some rapid pace here. He'll probably get fastest lap point also, unless it's a late pitter. But a late safety car also. I know it's unlikely at a track like China, but a late safety car, and Coscara could see himself in prime position, because you'd expect everyone to pit for softs, because with how big tire degradation is on the track, because he was thinking about it. Coleman's also thinking about repassing Grillick here. This is just backing them up into the Hazara. Hazara's almost in DRS range of Coleman, so Hazara is a very grateful right now for Coscara staying out. Grillick and Coleman need to get these moves done quickly. Coleman almost into the back. Grillick has a bit of a real moment here. Grillick's going to go around the outside. Coscara's going to fight this though. Coscara fighting this on significantly worn tires. Grillick's going to try to go down the inside. He needs to think of the championship though. If he has a moment here, it's game over for him. Coscara's still fighting this back. You swear this is for the net lead, but Coscara is the only driver yet to pit, and he is fighting his like his life depends on it. Coleman, is he going to go for that? Hazara's about 2 seconds back a lap ago, and he's looking at Coleman now. He was thinking of going down the inside there. We might see a big move happening here. Hazara, he might absolutely send this. This could be a double overtake here for Hazara, the traditional Williams driver. It's going to be 3 wide here for P2. If someone gets a braking point wrong, this could be a major incident. And it is. Hazara almost into Grillick there. He's gone deep again. He's got to move on Coscara though, but he's behind Coleman still. They're both losing energy right now with the lack of ERS, but Hazara's got a brilliant run off the final corner. He might send this into turn 1 on Coleman. Coleman no longer in the championship fight, but so he's got nothing to worry about. He's fighting for his own pride right now, and he's parking on every apex he can find right now. Caillou's got ahead of Damien. Meanwhile, in the background, Caillou's going to join this shortly with all the fighting happening. Hazara jumps that curb almost into Coleman. If they were wheel to wheel there, that would have been a major incident. But right now, we got 3.3 seconds that Caillou needs to gain to get himself back into this fight. This might not be all said and done. 8 laps to go. A lot can happen here. I'm suspecting a lot of fighting happening here between the top 3, which will only benefit the likes of Caillou.
Yeah, no, it certainly will, and I think that's probably why Coscara stayed out. I've just remembered they're both teammates, so that's probably why it's Hazara going down the inside of Coolman through the double left-handers as well. I think Coolman had a bit of a wobbly moment coming out of the double lefts. I said it can happen, and Hazara glides on past Coolman now up to second position. Now we resume as normal. As all very, very close for Coolman. Almost, I think, just losing on traction. It means that Caillou has an extra bit to catch up to the back of him, and now we resume the way that it was before. Grillick in first and Hazara in second. Caillou needs to try and do what he can to catch up to Coolman. Hazara going very deep once again though through that hairpin. He just can't seem to get the braking properly right going through that hairpin, but yeah, Caillou now can start to catch up to the back of Coolman after making that mistake. Coolman almost out of DRS, I think, just manages to hold on to it. But yeah, as I was saying, I think that's the reason why Coscara and Caillou are teammates. He's trying to help out his teammate as much as he possibly could, and he did a very good job because he caught up by about 1.5 seconds, I think Caillou did. So yeah, and it was very good battling. Yeah, maybe even more than that, but it was very good battling between Coscara and the leaders as well. You know, all credit to them guys, because it could be very easy just to sort of shove them off track, you know, on old tyres as well. Especially going 3 wide in towards a hairpin can be a very, very sticky one.
Yeah, I completely forgot, because of course we're not in the traditional cars. Would have made it way more exciting, because we would have clocked it straight away what Coscara was doing. Instead, we were just thinking Coscara was deciding just to annoy the leaders. No, he was doing the Minister of Defence, the McLaren Minister of Defence. Coscara might have done his teammate a massive favour here. Coleman is dropping massively. If Caillou gets this move on Coleman, he'll have a 3-point lead in the championship going into the finale. Every point matters here at this stage. Grilic, he'll still be in it, but he'll be in a bad position. He'll be 12 points behind. Hazara will be 3 points behind. All to play for, but Hazara wants that lead. Pulls out of it though. Pulls out of it. This could be where we get to the management mode here. Grilic has significantly more ERS to play with. They're just probably waiting for the arrival of Caillou, the eventual arrival of Caillou. Coolman though, he could do some defensive work here. We've seen decent balance between Coolman and Caillou here. Coolman not in the championship anymore, but as we've seen, he's not afraid to fight these guys. He knows where he should have been if he didn't have that rough patch earlier on in the season. He knows he should have been in this championship fight, and just things have not gone his way. So he's going to show that he is one of the top guys here in F5 as Kyle does set the fastest lap.
Yeah, I think it was to be expected. Fresher softs, lighter fuel, fair play to Kyle. You know, I suppose that's more of a consolation thing for him, getting that fastest lap. And he gets an extra point out of it because everybody here is now going to finish with points if they do end up finishing the race. Just over 5 laps left to go, and this is not over by any means whatsoever. The top two fighting it out. Caillou has now got himself into DRS of Coolman, as Coolman again has another slide. Just caught that drifting around the second left-hander as well. Means that Caillou's going to be even closer than what he probably thought he would have done going down that long DRS straight. Damien has lost 3.1 seconds to Caillou, and you've got to think that his championship chances are well and truly done. Unless Caillou ends up retiring from the session, I think, yeah, Damien, unfortunately for him, is out of the running for the championship. But DRS now wide open for our championship leader. He's closing in at a rate of knots on Coolman. Gets that move done. Coolman holds it around the outside though in the hairpin. I thought we broke a little bit too late, but in fact actually broke very nicely for it. Got it stopped very nicely. They're still both side by side. Going in towards the final corner now. Coolman going to have the inside for that corner. Caillou gives that one up. Gets the DRS on the back of Coolman once again. Now uses a little bit of his ERS just so we can go for the move on Coolman. Up to third position now goes our championship leader, and back into the championship lead. We're trying to keep an eye on the live results of it as much as possible. And Coolman again has a little bit of a wobble going through turn one. That rear, the rear braking bias for him might be a little bit too low for him, and just keeps on sort of rear locking at different points of the corners, because you can just hear that at nearly every single corner. He's just having a little bit of a slide going through it. But Caillou now up to third position. As you say, I think 3 points now between himself and Hazara. Unless Hazara can get himself into the lead, yeah, Caillou will be going into the lead of the championship. 5 laps left to go. Yeah, we're going into the lead of the championship, going into the final round of the season.
I think Caillou had it anyway, but it was only a 1 point lead. It would have been a winner-take-all situation because Hazara has 2 wins on him. So at the moment, if it is a tie, Hazara will have it on the basis of wins. He does have 2, I believe. He has more than Caillou anyway. He's definitely won at some point this season. But right now, is Hazara going to think now is the time to go for the move for the lead? It's probably only a matter of time before Caillou gets to the back here with his pace. So will the move be sent here? No, again, he's going to wait. We're back to the traditional situation here in PSGL F5. It's going to be wait till the last lap to make your move. We haven't seen this in a while. It's led to some epic ending moments. Just think back to Bahrain. Coolman, Damien and Caillou. Last lap scrap. I think all 3 of them led at some point in the end, and it was Damien who won in the end, where Caillou finished third. We could be seeing yet another famous 3-lap scrap, and it's going to be between the 3 championship contenders. Grilic needs to win realistically to have a chance of winning this championship. He can go, if he comes second with Caillou third, he'll still be in it, but he'll need everything to go his way. 12-point deficit, Joe. It will be possible, but unlikely, especially if we do get low numbers again next week. Hopefully we do have a more full grid for the finale. It deserves a big grid for the finale. We may have the 3 leaders, but everyone's done their part this season to make it incredible. So I think for everyone's sake, we deserve a good grid for the finale, and hopefully we will get that. But we're focusing right now on China. 3 laps to go at the conclusion of this one. Caillou's gained about 3 tenths this lap. He might get DRS in the closing stages. It's going to be tight. It all depends on how much Gridlick and Hazara fight this towards the end. I think Hazara's going for it. No, again, he's backing out of it. He's backing out, but of course the DRS, you see he's getting about 3 attempts for the straight alone on Kai, but that slow braking slowly brings Kai back into it. They have to be concerned about Caillou at the same time. They can't let Caillou join this fight.
Yeah, no, they certainly can't. Otherwise, then he's going to have the opportunity of trying to go for something as well and try and, you know, get an even bigger gap in that championship in front of those guys that are out in the lead of the race at the moment. Still Griglet leading, over 3 laps left to go. Carl Scarrett getting a move done on Franquise as well. So Franquise now down to 9th position. Only one on the set of the hard tyres. But it looks like he might be coming back at Carl Scarrett once again very soon. Those softs, I think, are starting to die out for the McLaren. Obviously not in the McLaren for this evening, but the McLaren driver. You know, I think, as I say, his softs are starting to die out a little bit more now, so might see Frankie's try and go for another move on Carl Scarrett very, very soon. But as well as Fraser and Larper still having their scrap there for P6. Again, it's not over with those two. Larper making up quite a few decent positions as well, considering him and Carl Scarrett were battling for the final points positions. Now in 8th and 6th respectively for the two of them. You know, it must be said, it's not necessarily a bad evening for these two. So, yeah, I don't think there's going to be any complaints with how they're doing for this evening. And even then, they're starting to catch up to Damien, with Damien being on 10-lap-old softs. He might end up with a puncture potentially very, very soon if he doesn't manage to, you know, maintain his tyres the way that he needs to, especially on those softs. As I say, 12 laps on them, they're going to be absolutely dead towards the end of this race. Still, though, Hazara happy just sitting behind Griglet for the time being. That gap is now down to 1.5 seconds, and Caillou is giving it absolute everything, giving it full beans as much as he can to try and close up to those top two guys. I think the only thing that's helping him is that Hazara is sort of backing off every single lap so far. And the thing is that he needs to try and do that so that he can try and get the best run, especially on that long DRS straight. That's where we're going to see a move go down. Well, that's where we're going to see Hazara start to dump all of that battery he's got. Won't be on this lap, it will be on that final lap, just because he will at least have the extra battery that he can use. But then again, Griglik also has maintained his ERS, so they're both on quite even ERS. Maybe Hazara's got to think of a strategy of going for it maybe on this lap. But at the same time, it leaves him vulnerable for that final lap, so we'll see what Hazara opts to do when they come on towards this long DRS straight.
Yeah, this is the penultimate lap as Caillou, he might have one attempt. He won't have this lap. It's going to be the final lap. Caillou will have DRS. He's just missed out on it there, but he might have it on the pit straight for the final lap. They've both been saved. They're similar enough on ERS. Caillou's way low on ERS though, so that's going to hurt his chances. As here he goes, Hazara's gone for it. He's gone for it early. He will be taking the championship lead right now, but there's 1 lap left to decide it. There are 3 drivers in DRS range of the win. 1 lap to go. Who is going to win it? Who is going to lead this championship going into the final race? Who's going to be within contention of this championship going into the final race? There's 1 lap left to decide it. Caillou does have DRS right now. Griglik is not going to go for the move now. Takes a lot of curve there. Caillou's gotta be, Caillou Griglik have to be patient. It's going to be decided on that back straight, surely, unless there's a mistake here. This could potentially go 3 wide here with how close a second is separating the front 3 here on this final lap. The front 3 of the championship. Also, Damien's championship hopes are done unless there's a major moment here. It's going to be these 3 who decide, who get to decide who gets to call themselves champion. Of course, Griglik needs to keep Caillou behind. If Griglik loses out to Caillou here, Griglik's out, but it's a 2-horse race. But this coming up to this deciding moment here. I think Hazara was a bit slow there. That might have been deliberate though, potentially. Put Griglik closer to Caillou. Put the pressure on. 8 attempts separate them as we come onto this 2-kilometer straight. There's fuel warnings about. There's everything to decide here. The DRS point is coming in here. DRS is open. Caillou's had a bad run here. That might end his chances. Is Griglik going to go for a send here? He will, but Hazara will take the inside line. He breaks late. Gridlick almost loses the rear there. Caillou not there to take advantage of it. Hazara, he's got one more corner to go here. Gridlick is not going to send it. Hazara is going to go into the final race as the championship leader and wins in China. Gridlick takes second. Caillou is third. What a ending we have had there. And I think, if I'm right, Hazara has a 1 point lead going into the season finale. I think Gridlick is just in it. And I think Damien has crashed on the line, potentially.
Yeah, so that is all she wrote for this evening. And Hazara, for the first time this season, if I'm not mistaken, is now our championship leader. So
He led in Jeddah.
He led in Jeddah, right? Fair enough. Well, still going into the final race as the championship leader is quite something. It's definitely a lot of pressure on the guys behind him, especially now Caillou, who was leading that championship. But it is Hazara taking the win this evening. Gridlick in second, Caillou in third, the Coolman in fourth. Larpa ended up finishing fifth in the end, and Carl Scarrett ended up finishing in sixth. Damien finished in sixth. I think because it said that he retired, it bugged it for some reason. But Damien finished sixth. Carl Scarrett was seventh. Fraser in eighth. Frankis in ninth. And Darrow, unfortunately for him, starting third after having to double stack with, I think it was with Gridlick in the end, just did not work out for him, and ended up finishing at the very back end of the grid. Very unfortunate. That's the problem with the F1 World Cars, is when you don't know who your teammate is. Unfortunately for them, I think they were the only two that were really the teammates of the guys that ended up finishing in the end. And then Ruddy and Maxro are our retirees for this evening. But Hazara, like you're saying, 16 points to his name. Only 10 for Caillou. It is a 1 point gap.
I have more news. It's only a 2-horse race. Because since... so Gridlick is 16 points behind behind Caillou, but he's 18 points behind the championship lead. So it is a 2-horse race. Gridlick is out of it due to that last lap, that penultimate lap move by Hazara. It's a 2-horse race. 1 point between them. Winner takes all in Abu Dhabi between Hazara and Caillou.
Certainly is indeed. But make sure you guys are tuning into that next week. Like I say, you do not want to miss that whatsoever. The final race of the season for season number 34 of PSGL F5 is going to be a spicy one. A 2-horse race. 1 point separating the top two. Like I say, you definitely do not want to be missing out on that one. But thank you to everybody that has tuned in for this evening. Obviously, big thank you to our sponsor of GT Omega as well. Make sure you guys are checking them out in the description and using code PSGL for yourself a nice little discount at the GT Omega website. But like I say, thank you to everybody that has tuned in tonight, and we'll catch you guys next week for the final round of the season, round number 12 at Abu Dhabi.
He's got the inside off, here he's through on the left hand side, hooks the apex, gets on the power nicely, and that is job done. Jarno Opmeer now to the last couple of corners now, his finest drive, his greatest drive, and he's done it at the Circuit of the Americas. He returns to the top step of the podium once again. The ghost is back. Jarno Opmeer wins the US Grand Prix in a stunning Grand Prix.
it locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, got it locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my